Good evening, everybody, and welcome to tonight's webinar. I'm going to give it about 30 seconds to let everyone come into the webinar space to make sure that people can get logged on so that they don't miss anything at the beginning. We're glad that you're here tonight. Thanks for being with us. Well, again, good evening, folks. Welcome to tonight's webinar. My name is Ben Adams, and I am an Associate Dean here at Duke and the Interim Director of New Student and Family Programs. And we're so glad that you are joining with us. Let me just start by saying congratulations. We're so glad that you are joining the Duke family. We're so glad that you're going to be a part of us and that you'll be joining us in here in just a few days now, at this point, 10 days away from move-in day. To give you a little bit of an understanding of what we're going to do tonight, I want to just give you a couple of logistical pieces first. We're going to go through a few different parts of the move-in day process. We're going to talk to you a little bit about what to prepare for move-in day. But I want to acknowledge that a lot of you probably have many questions. There is a Q&A function on the webinar where you can enter questions there. We're going to save all of our questions towards the end. I have several of my colleagues that are behind the scenes that will be answering the questions tonight. And if they are one-off questions that are particular to your student, we might answer directly. But if we feel like it's a question that can be presented to everyone, we'll answer it and display it for all people to see. Just note at the end of the webinar, however, we're also going to take a time for my colleague Grace and I to answer some of your questions as they come in and to perhaps reiterate some of the points that we mentioned in this presentation. Just so that you know, this presentation is being recorded, and so we may not necessarily go backwards in terms of the slides throughout the presentation, but just know that you'll be able to go find this back online afterwards. To give you an understanding of where it is that we're going, let me just kind of give you the three things that we hope to accomplish tonight's goals. Number one is that we hope to review the move-in process and move-in day. My colleagues are going to go through particulars about the move-in process and what else is offered on move-in day, and we'll go step by step about that. We're going to preview experiential orientation, which is an exciting new orientation model that we have here at Duke that I know you've been learning about all summer. We're going to give you a little bit of a preview of what's to come for that experience for your student and for you. And then we're going to highlight other important events that are taking place during orientation week. While the orientation model has shifted a lot of what we do here around Duke for that first week, there are a few traditions that will remain in place. And we do just want to give you a heads up about that. Just know, for those of you who are students, when you arrive on campus, you'll have a lot more information and you'll be inundated with information, and we'll make sure that you receive that in a timely manner. So we might not give you every detail tonight, but just know that that information is coming in due time. So I'm going to invite my colleague, Karina Carpenter, to hop on, and she's going to walk us through the move-in day process and move-in day.
Thanks, Ben. Hi, everyone. My name is Karina Carpenter. I'm one of the associate directors in the Office of New Student and Family Programs. And I'm really excited to talk to you today and give a little bit more information about the move-in process and what you can expect. So there's 5 big takeaways that we want you to know, and we're going to kind of go in through all of them. So there's a little bit more detail provided and give you a little bit more of information from a bird's eye view of what to expect come August 23rd or August 20th, sorry. So the first is that we want you to go to your residence hall. And so this week, everyone should have received a detailed email with their specific move-in information, their time, and that is when we want you to arrive onto campus. And within that email came a parking pass, and it also came a map. And so the maps are important in terms of traffic flow. Our amazing partners in parking and transportation, Duke Police, help us try to make it as an easy as process as possible. So it's important that every car has a parking pass. And so each student is allowed to have one car on campus full of items, and that will be the parking pass that you put into that car. And so once you arrive in the parking patterns in front of your residence hall, what will happen is that all of our amazing orientation leaders, or OLs, will swarm your car and help you unload. And so our goal is that you guys are not carrying many things into your space, but that our student leaders are helping you do that. And so the goal will be for you unlock your doors, let the students take everything, and they will take it up to your assigned room. And you will then follow them. So if the student will get out of the car, if there's an additional family member or parent present, awesome. And you guys will walk up to the room, check it out, see what it's looking like, make sure all of your items get to your space and that everything is accounted for. Whoever else is left in the car will drive that off of campus. And so that car will be taken to Science Drive parking garage. And that is where that person will then get back on one of the bus stops right in front of the Science Drive garage, and then get bused back to East Campus, and then can join you in the unpacking process. So once the student is in their room with someone, potentially with no one, that's okay too, and everything is there, an RA is going to be on the floor to make sure that the door is unlocked, you can get all your stuff in, and that everything is there. You'll then leave the residence hall. And so where you're going to go is to Brody Gym. And that's kind of where our check-in station is. And that's where you'll be able to pick up all sorts of supplies, including your physical key. That's where you're going to pick up your Duke card. And so that's your Duke card is kind of where you'll pay for your meal plan through, you'll pay for laundry through. You'll also be able to get access in and out of the building with that. And for some of you, it's also your residence hall room key. And so it's really important to make sure that your Duke card, you've submitted your photo already, and that if you live in a building that requires Duke card access for your room, that you submit your PIN prior to moving in, because that's your room key. You'll tap it's kind of like a hotel, you'll tap the door and then put in a PIN, and that's what opens your door. So if you have one of those buildings, make sure you've done that, and you'll receive information about that prior if you are living in one of those buildings. What else is in Brody? Your immunization verification will be there. So if there are still immunizations that you need to complete before to be in compliance with Duke Health, there will be immunizations available on campus, on West Campus for you, and there'll be representatives in Brody to talk through what you need to get done. What else is in Brody? OIT support. So if you've purchased a laptop through Duke, or if you need any help getting onto the Duke Wi-Fi, they'll be there all day to help. There's also going to be an orientation check-in. And so that process will also, you'll be able to check in with your orientation group, say hi, and we're also going to make sure all the waivers are signed and that everything is ready to go so that our orientation programs can start that evening with a welcome. Duke Dining is going to be in Brody Gym as well. So if you have questions about any dietary needs or any meal plans, they'll be able to answer anything for you. And then of course it's Duke. So we have a lot of fun stuff that we want to give your way, that we want to pass along and add to a little bit of the hype for the day. So that's what's going to be inside of Brody Gym. The third takeaway, we want you to eat and drink something. So we're in North Carolina, we're in the South. Move-in days typically are around 90 degrees or warmer. And it's not going to rain. That's what we're going to put out into the universe, that rain is not a thing on move-in day at Duke University. However, if it is, we still move in as normal. And so that's what happens. So we're still going to move in. We will have water all across campus, so please take advantage of that. We're going to have waters, and for food, for lunches, we have the marketplace that is available for breakfast and lunch until 2, and that's the East Campus Dining Hall. We also have the Trinity Cafe, which is underneath Marketplace. It's our cafe with coffees and different snacks. And then West Campus options are also available for dining if that's something that you choose. And so lunch is on your own, but for dinner, we will provide dinner at the Family Farewell, and there's more information coming about that. The fourth thing we want you to remember is to run errands. So there's some things that you guys are going to want to get for your rooms. And we encourage you to do that early, right? So if you have one of the later move-in days, earlier in the day is a great time for you to pick up items that you need. We have a Target, a Walmart, any other box store close in Durham. And so you have times to run in. If you choose to run errands after your move-in time, that's okay. Just know that due to traffic patterns and getting everyone else moved in between 8 o'clock a.m. and 4 p.m., you will not be able to bring your car back to campus until after 5 p.m. So cars have to go, like we said, into Science Drive. And so until after 5. After 5, you're able to drive back onto campus if you have anything else that you need to drop off. And then now I'm going to invite my colleague Shamice to come in.
Unmuted. Thanks, Karina. So good evening, everyone. Like Karina said, my name is Shamice Banks, and I am the Assistant Director within New Student and Family Programs. And so just to talk a little bit about what to expect that's going to be on East Campus. So there's going to be a few things that we make available on move-in day. So there's going to be various banks, various bank vendors that you all can visit in some of the classroom buildings. If you pre-ordered linens, those will be available at the classroom building. There will also be a hospitality tent with snacks and folks to answer questions. And then there'll also be a few additional vendors that will also be on campus that you want to partake in or purchase any items for your residence hall. And on West Campus, that will also include the university store. So if you need to go and take care of your errands, just like Karina just said in number 4, whether that's before or after your move-in time, with the university store, their normal hours are 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., but they will have open extended hours on Saturday, August 20th, and then Sunday, August 21st. And so the campus mail will be open from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. And so if you would like to pick up your mailbox key or any pre-shipped packages, you will need to visit them in the lower level of the Bryant Center. And so they'll also be reopened on Monday for normal hours as well. And so immunizations will be offered at Penn Pavilion. So just like Karina articulated, if you also still have some immunization verifications, that is the perfect place for you to go. And Penn Pavilion will be on West Campus throughout the day. And so you also, another reminder when it comes to immunizations, you have a 30-day window to complete those immunizations. And so number 5, attend the family farewell. So this is a new event this year at Duke, and New Student and Family Programs is in partnership with Duke Athletics, and we're hosting this family farewell. And so it's literally in the name. This is the time when families and students will say farewell. This isn't a goodbye, this is a see you later. And so we'll share with the agenda on what to expect from this family farewell. And so just to help you a little bit, here's the agenda. Like Karina said, dinner will be served at Wallace Wade from 5 to 6:30 p.m. And so for those of you who moved in early, come early. We want to make sure that you all have enough time to have dinner, and then you'll also receive a customized or personalized jersey to welcome you all, or welcome our new incoming class to Duke. And so athletics will be distributing an incredible gift. Like I said, the customized football jerseys, and you can pick those up. The Duke Team Store will also be open that evening for you to purchase any merchandise, and games will also be available on the concourse. So this is a great time to, again, experience this moment with your family. And we want to reiterate, making sure that you all are saying your farewells and your see you laters before you step into Cameron. So at 7 o'clock, that's when you all will enter Cameron. And students, you're going to be entering Cameron on a separate side, and families will be entering in a separate, in another entrance. The reason being, the students will be sitting in one section and families will be sitting in another. And students will depart Cameron at 7:30 for the portion of beginning their orientation welcome. And so again, just wanted to say again, making sure before you step into Cameron that you all give your last little hugs, your kisses, say your farewells, because again, students will be departing at 7:30 for their orientation welcome. And at 8 p.m., students will also be having their RA meetings at 9:15. But we also will still be taking some time for families to mix and mingle with each other. From 7:45 to 9 o'clock, there will be a family reception at the Hall of Honor. And so just some additional helpful information for move-in day. So there will be bus routes. There will be 3 bus routes that will be going on throughout the entire day. So one bus will take you straight from east to west and back and forth. One from east to Science Drive parking garage. And again, that is where your car will be parked after you unload from your move-in time. And then there'll also be a bus route from east and the family farewell. And so there will also be signage on the buses. So making sure before you hop on a bus, make sure you check to see what bus you're hopping on. And also just to reiterate that here on Duke's campus, that university buses, transportations, a mask is required. And so that will also be posted and articulated, and you will be made aware and reminded of that. But just to also make that, put that in the forefront so you all come prepared with masks. And if not, we'll also have those for you as well. EMS, police, and transportation services. So we have a partnership with all 3 of these on move-in day to keep you safe. And so if you have an emergency, make sure you look out for a staff member that will have a Duke blue shirt, and we'll call it in and take care of you. And lastly, accessibility services. So if you require any accessibility services, please let us know. And we'll also input our email in the chat function, but make sure you let us know, communicate with us in advance at student-orientation@duke.edu, and we'll work to make those accommodations. And so next off, I'm going to pass it to my colleague, Grace, and she's going to touch a little bit more about the purpose of experiential orientation.
Good evening. My name is Grace Sullivan Zirkle. I serve as one of the associate directors in the office, and I am beyond excited to have you all here with us in just a few days. I'm going to take a few minutes and talk in particular to our students who are on the call. If you are not already excited for orientation, I hope you leave this session ready to dive in. You all should be hearing from your programs by now a few times about what to expect a little bit about orientation, but I want to give you the bigger picture. So we've been working the last year to redesign orientation to really focus on creating community during orientation week around a shared interest. We've built this on the success of our past programs, especially our pre-orientation programs, which have really fostered a strong sense of community in years past before students even start their school year. And we're really, really thrilled to be able to provide the opportunity to everyone, every member of our class of 2026 and all of our transfer students this year. So in addition to building community, we desire for students to get to know their community. So not just connect with each other during the week, but really get to know what is the Duke community in a broader sense. Other outcomes, we want students to learn about Duke and Duke life from their peers and upperclassmen, right? Experts about the topic, about the Duke experience. Students will get to engage with faculty and staff. They'll also get to explore Durham and North Carolina throughout the week. Every group is going off campus at some point for some reason, an excursion, a hike, maybe an overnight trip, which I say to really highlight that all students need to sign that assumption of risk form, which they received an email last week. So make sure you do that. That's just us saying we're going to take some trips and want to make sure that you understand that beforehand. This next slide is our programs. So we have 18 first-year orientation programs and 1 transfer program. These have been developed as student-staff partnerships. So each program you see on here has at least 1 student program lead. We call them program directors. And they've been working around the clock for the last year with a staff member or a community partner to really create a 6-day intensive exploration of community, of projects around these shared themes. And so you're going to, whichever one you're placed in, you're going to have 6 days of experiences with that group of upper class leaders. We call them OLs, with other peers in your program. You'll have somewhere between 60 to 120 other first-year students in your program, or other transfer students if you're transfer students. And so you'll really get to delve deep with that group throughout the 6 days, the 21st through the 26th. We do also kick off on the evening of the 20th. So you'll be able to check in with your program specifically as part of move-in day. One of those stops in Brody Gym is checking in with your orientation program. We'll confirm your assumption of risk waiver there. And just a reminder that one of the best ways to expedite move-in day is to sign that waiver ahead of time, so we can move you in. You get to check in with that program, receive a little bit of swag, and get you excited to meet the rest of your experiential orientation program on the evening of the 20th. And that's not it, right? Orientation is actually bigger just than that week. And so we want to put this into perspective. We've been orienting you all summer, right? The Blue Book, the Duke Common Experience book, which is going to actually continue into the fall as well. You've had college advising meetings. You've had lots of webinars. You've been doing trainings, the SAPU and the wellness training, everything to really get you prepared. So we want you to know you know a lot about Duke already. And our hope for the experiential orientation is that you will get to know Duke even better, right? Your upper class mentors will be able to reinforce the types of things you learned this summer. It'll be a great place for you to ask, what is it really like to be a student in the classroom? What is it really like to get involved here at Duke? And so we're very excited about that during the week. And then beyond your experiential orientation program, first big week happens. This is orientation continued. So we want you to know that, right? You're going to spend these few days with your experiential orientation program, but then we have the beginning of classes, and we have a few more things to really make sure that you not just know the community in your program, but that you continue to get your feet wet at Durham, right? The transition takes some time. And so we're here to make sure you continue to learn about Duke and get absorbed. After your program ends on the 26th, that evening, we have class photo, we have the East Campus Carnival, and then on Saturday, we have an event right before classes called Welcome to West. So you'll be able to have an event with upper class students on West Campus, and then we have convocation on Sunday right before classes. It's outside on West Campus. It's beautiful. President Price is there. There'll be cold treats afterwards. And then classes start the next morning. Those events that weekend, the 27th to 28th, are the beginning of what we call the first big week and beyond. And so this is a time that you'll continue, as I said, to get to know campus, right? There'll be student activities fairs, there'll be open houses at different departments. So you'll get to continue to be oriented to Duke. I will also note there's 2 other events that are required beyond the class photo, which you won't want to miss, and the East Campus Carnival, Welcome to West, and Convocation. Those are your RA floor meetings. So those of you who joined us earlier this week to learn more about expectations on the hall and in your residence halls, you'll be able to hear from your RAs too, right, about building community in the halls. So those are going to happen on the evening of Saturday, August 20th after your program welcomes. And then you'll also have one the night before classes on Sunday, August 28th. And also on that weekend, there are meet and greets with our faculty and residents. So all of our first year halls have a faculty and residents who lives there, who's going to meet you before you start classes. All of these events, that's a lot of events, I know, are going to be available to you in a mobile app that we use called Guidebook. So you'll be able to see some information about your experiential orientation programs, but then also details about these other events that are happening after and beyond your experiential orientation program. So don't worry, we're going to get that to you. Keep your eye out on your email for instructions about how to access the app once you're on campus. That was a huge and quick overview of move-in day and experiential orientation. So I know that our Q&A is very active, and I'm going to invite Ben to come back on, and the 2 of us are going to attempt to answer some more questions. I know our colleagues are also busy in the background typing as many questions as they can. Ben, do you want to start with the first question you've been seeing, maybe a theme you can pull out we can address?
Absolutely. Yeah, thanks, Grace. So one of the questions that we're getting a lot is particularly around people who are in that 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. window, move-in window, and are recognizing this at the end of the day. Let me just kind of give you a bird's eye view of that. First of all, every move-in window more or less has its pros and cons. I mean, there's just a reality to that. The 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Window is an advantage in some ways. It's a disadvantage in others because you have to be in Durham at 8 a.m. In order to move in. The campus mail won't be open until 10 a.m. At the end of the day, you might feel like it's a disadvantage because it seems like you've got a short window of time to get everything that you need to get in those 2 hours. Just let me give you some advice for those of you who are in the 2 to 4 p.m. window. I would advise you to get everything else knocked out other than moving your car on campus and getting your car unloaded. So there are things that are available to you on West Campus that you may need. Going to the Duke store is one of them. Going to the campus mailboxes that morning is another one. They're open from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. If you know for a fact that you are out of compliance with your immunizations and you have to get the shot, whatever shot it might be, then we're going to have immunizations available in Penn Pavilion, which is also on West Campus. East Campus will be open to you. It's open to foot traffic. You're allowed to come onto campus and you're allowed to knock out Brody Gym beforehand. But we would just recommend, and again, this is up to you. There's no way for you to get your automobile onto East Campus outside of that window. So if you wanted to come over here and run errands beforehand, if you need to go visit some of our bank vendors that are located on East Campus or visit Brody Gym, or if you needed to go to the vendors that will be on the central tent on East Campus, you're more than welcome to do that prior to. Just know, again, you can only bring your car onto East Campus during that 2-hour window. So hopefully that clarifies a little bit about the move-in process, how Brody and the East Campus traffic control work hand in hand. Grace, do you want to take one?
Yeah, I'm going to try to lump together a few that I saw and expand a little bit on what is it like when you roll up in front of your residence hall, getting your stuff out of your vehicle into your room. What does that look like? So when you roll up, there are going to be groups of students in their experiential orientation shirts. There are orientation leaders who are going to be there to help you unload and get things upstairs. A few people said questions about personal items or things they're nervous about other people carrying. That's totally fine. You can just make sure you know which items you want to take in. You can say, oh, that's fine. I'm going to take that backpack. If you're worried about something, you can carry that in. We just have orientation leaders there. One, because the day is a lot more festive with a lot of excited upperclassmen students, but also they're there to help. We know that moving in is exhausting in a long day, and so they're there to help. Another question was about how do you actually get into your room if you don't have your residence hall key? Great question. So RAs, other upper class leaders, are also going to be in the residence halls helping to physically unlock doors so you can drop your items in. As soon as they're dropped, they're then going to lock your room again so that you can go get your key so that there aren't people in your room when you don't know about it. So that's just a few things about that little transition.
That's an important thing to note too, Grace. And let me add on to that to continue the process. When you leave the dorm as a student, when you leave the residence hall after you finish unloading your car and you head out, the RA will lock that door behind you because for security reasons. There's a lot of people moving around. And if there's no one in the room, we'll lock the door behind you. We're also going to ask that parents leave the room too when they leave when the student leaves the residence hall, the parent needs to leave that room as well. The parent doesn't need to leave the residence hall entirely. You're more than welcome to wait in the commons areas. I guarantee you will love that air conditioning on Saturday in the middle of August in North Carolina. But we encourage you to hang out in the residence hall, a commons area instead of the dormitory rooms. And again, this is just to prevent any type of things from growing feet and walking away. That's just our policy here. When you get your residence hall keys over in Brody Gym, obviously you can come and go as you please, and you'll be able to unlock your door as you wish at that point. Grace, do you see another one?
Yeah, there's some questions about COVID. Thanks so much for asking. So it is our expectation that all students are getting a PCR test within 72 hours before arriving. That's just an expectation to make sure that we don't actively bring COVID to campus if we can avoid that. So please make sure that you do that. You do not need to submit it, but students are expected to under the Duke community standard, which is the code of conduct that binds all students here on campus. Masks are not required in most buildings for vaccinated individuals. I say most because this is a good thing for students to know. Community members at Duke are expected to have a mask on them because there are some facilities on campus that require them. The biggest one is the bus. So everyone needs a mask for move-in day because you're going to be transporting across campuses on our buses. So please bring a mask with you. But just as a student for general knowledge, there are some other buildings on campus, especially because we're connected with the hospital. So some of our medical facilities also still require masks.
Great, thanks, Grace. One of the things that I'm getting a lot of questions about, or I'm seeing is an easy one. Let me just answer this: is there a limit to the number of people that can be brought to the family farewell? No, there's not. We would encourage you not necessarily to bring your entire village. That's totally fine if you bring your entire family. We want your family to be able to experience Duke on that day, but there's not a limit to that. We want you to celebrate your student. I know this is a big moment for a lot of families, and quite frankly, for a lot of communities and villages. So we want to celebrate your student and have the chance for you to celebrate them. But let me answer one additional thing about the family farewell, because I think it is important to acknowledge. The family farewell itself is quite literally the time when you will say farewell to your child. So as you walk in between Wallace Wade Stadium, which is where dinner is served, there will be all types of accommodations for different dietary restrictions. I saw that question in there as well. As you move from Wallace Wade Stadium, where you eat and where you get your jersey, which is gifted to you from Duke Athletics, you'll make your way to Cameron Indoor Stadium. When you go into Cameron, which is our basketball arena, students will go to the student section, which is on the floor of Cameron. If you have watched a Duke basketball game before, this will be your first chance as a Duke student to actually stand in the student section. And then parents will go upstairs. Parents and family members will go upstairs. And at that point, you will have said farewell. So we encourage you to give your hugs, take your family photos if you need to outside of Cameron, and then you'll part your ways, because quite literally, students will leave during the middle of the program to head off to their next two things, which are an orientation introduction and their RA meeting later that night. There's an additional question I'm seeing right here, because it's about family farewell. Let me just go ahead and tag that on, Grace. What can we expect during the family farewell? Like speakers, there will be a president's welcome. President Price will be joining us. You'll have athletic coaches there. So Coach John Shire will be there. Coach Kara Lawson will be there. Coach Mike Elko will be there. You'll hear from our student affairs leaders that will be available for that are hosting this event. And then for the family reception afterwards, which is after the students depart and head off to their orientation programs and RA meetings, the parents will have the chance to mingle with all of these people. So we want you as parents and as family members to hang out. It's a way of us saying thank you for entrusting us with your child. We know, or your student, we know it's been a long day for you. And we know this is a day filled with so many emotions. Some of them super excitement, some of them obviously lament of your child heading off to college. And we just want to give you a little bit of that space to kind of mingle with administrators, get to know us a little bit more, so that you know who it is that is seeing to the welfare of your child while they're here at Duke. I'm going to pass to you, Grace, for the next one.
There are so many questions here. It's hard to sort through. I don't think you just addressed this one, but I will tack on. Someone said, do families have to stay for the evening? Absolutely not. We know this is a big day. We welcome you to stay if you would like to stay. We also know that many folks are coming in to drop their student off and then going back home so they can make the next of the work week. So you are welcome to stay. But if families are not able to stay, or it's better for you to just move on, that's fine. And your student won't be the only one at the family farewell, just as a student. So just a shout out to all of our students out there that think that they'll be the only one that evening on the 20th without a family. You won't, I promise. And you won't even notice, because you're going to be whisked away by your orientation groups. There was a question here about orientation being required. Do I have to stay on campus all week for orientation? All orientation events are required. So it's expected that you are in your experiential orientation program, that you attend the evening of the 20th, and then full days between the 21st through the 26th. Those other required events we talked about, the class photo, you honestly aren't going to want to miss that. But that is a required event. And those other events through the weekend, including convocation, are required. Again, we will share out that schedule. Again, we know there's a lot of events. We'll make sure that you have all the information. So orientation is a critical part, right, to making sure that you continue to onboard and are immersed in the life of the university.
I'm trying to grab as many of these questions as we can. There's quite a few. One of the questions that I'm seeing right here, coming back to the question around kind of Brody Gym and moving through that process, it might be helpful once again to go through who's there and how long that takes. Quite frankly, how long that takes depends on how many people are in there. I mean, that seems like a simple way of answering that question, and maybe a cheating way of answering that question. But quite frankly, historically, we've noticed that there are rush times within the 2-hour window. And I can tell you from experience that from the first hour of that window, you're going to see heavy traffic. We have given, I mean, just this is something that I would say casually to a parent, if they were asking me one-on-one, if your move-in window is from 10 to 12 and you show up on campus at 11:30 and you walk into Brody Gym at 11:45, I guarantee you that there will be less of a line than there would be within the first 30 minutes of that move-in window, because we're all eager. We're excited to get you here. We're excited to have you on campus and make sure that you are settled and good to go. But if you have the flexibility to come towards the back end of your window at 11 o'clock, those lines will move pretty quickly because it won't be the mad rush of people in Brody. When you come through Brody, again, there's 7 stations that are available to you there. Almost all of them are grab and go. There are a couple of things that you will have to sign for. You'll have to check out your keys. You'll have to check in, make sure that your waiver is done. I'm going to ask our team at the end to give them their tips of like move-in tips. Let me just give you my 3 right now that will make your life so much easier on Saturday the 20th. There are 3 things that you can do before you arrive on campus. And we just sent an email about this yesterday. Number 1 is submit your Duke card photo now. So if you submit your Duke card photo by August 15th, which is this upcoming Monday, we will guarantee you a physical copy of your Duke card. Duke Card Office encourages people to use the mobile Duke Card, which is an app that's available for you so that you can tap your phone to your residence hall keypad, and it will unlock the door for you. You can tap it in certain places around campus. It's like having your Duke Card on you, but it's just a mobile version of it. But a lot of people want to use that physical Duke card, and we strongly encourage that. If you want it on day 1, submit the Duke card photo now. My second piece of advice is for you to go ahead and sign the waiver and the assumption of risk forms now. Every program for experiential orientation is asked to sign assumption of risk and waiver. That's largely because every program goes off campus. And we just recognize that when you go off campus and you go out of the areas that Duke controls, whether even if it's just to eat at a restaurant, there's some level of risk. And we just want you to acknowledge that in taking part of the program. And the third thing that you can do, so number 1 is your Duke card photo. Number 2 is your waiver. The third thing is make sure that your immunization paperwork is up to date and reported. As we said earlier, immunizations at Duke are not a Duke protocol. They are a state of North Carolina law. And so within 30 days, every student has to be up to date and in compliance with their immunizations. If you are not, Duke, unfortunately, has the ability to freeze accounts. And so we will start freezing your Duke card, your access to other opportunities online. You need to check that. And you can check that through your student health portal to make sure that all of your paperwork is in, and we'll give you the chance to check that in the Brody line. But your life will go much smoother if you submit those 3 things well in advance. Grace, I just knocked out a lot. So what you got?
That was amazing. I'm actually going to invite one of our panelists behind the scenes to answer some questions about early move-in, because we do have some students on here who are moving in early for a variety of reasons. That could be band, that could be international student move-in. So Dean Brandon Howard, could you just talk a little bit about that?
Oh, yeah, of course. So if you are an international student who is moving in early on the 18th or 19th, your move-in process will be a little bit different. So if you are an international student, you should have received communication or will be receiving communication from our new Duke International Student Center office to go over sort of the details of your move-in day, as well as getting some information from you around when do you anticipate getting to campus. For international students who are checking in early on the 18th and 19th, your check-in location will be at Southgate Hall in the lobby. And so there you'll meet with the DISC office, you'll get your room key, as well as and then be able to move into your room on those 2 days as well. For students who are not international students but requesting to move in for different activities such as band, athletics, etc., one of the first things I would recommend is to check with your coach and or your band director or the director or leader of your group, because over the summer, our housing department has reached out to staff that lead these different groups to ask for their groups of students that should be moving in early. And so if you're on athletics or you're in band or something similar, your staff members for those programs may have already arranged for you to have early arrival. And so that's the first step that you would want to do is check with them. And if not, you can go to your housing portal on the Duke Housing webpage, and then you can you can apply for early arrival as well. And then you'll want to wait for that to be approved by our housing assignments team.
Thank you so much, Dean Howard. I will also add on for any student who's moving in early for whatever approved reason, please come to Brody on move-in day on the 20th at whatever time works for you. You could come in at 8 a.m., you could come in at 4 p.m., whatever works in your schedule that day. You obviously won't be picking up your residence hall key, but the other stops there are important, and we want to make sure that you get checked in with your experiential orientation program, that you have an opportunity to talk to tech, for example, if you need to. So please come to Brody, and then know that the schedule the rest of the day is for you, right? So come to the family farewell. Again, whether you have a family member with you or not, come to the family farewell, come to the rest of the evening. Ben, what do you have?
Yeah, this is great. We're getting through a lot of stuff. One of the questions that keeps coming up is around parking placards and around the information of where do I get the parking pass? Your student received an email earlier this week from our office that shared with them 4 really important things. One of them was a letter that shares with them. One of them, first of all, is a letter from HRL that welcomes them to campus and gives them their move-in window. The second thing that it contains in that email is a map of how they get in, what access point they get into with East Campus. The reason why we're so restrictive on move-in windows is because it is literally a traffic flow issue. East Campus, when you arrive, you will see that it is a very insulated campus with roads within it. And the traffic pattern is such that we can only handle a certain amount of people at a certain amount of time, and the traffic has to go in the right direction. So I saw a question earlier about a person asking for accessibility parking on East Campus. If you need to email us at studentorientation@duke.edu, we can address that with you. But the reason that we don't allow for parking on campus isn't a matter of accessibility or anything like that restrictive. It's that we literally use traffic spaces for people to pull their cars around and to make U-turns. And Duke Police and Transportation Services does a really good job of doing that. That's part of the, I'm actually just derailed and I answered multiple questions and I forgot what the original question was that I was answering. Brody Gym is available at 8 a.m. that morning. That's one of the questions that I'm seeing a lot of is what time is Brody Gym available to us? Oh, the original question, thank you. The original question was around what was in that original email. So it tells you your move-in time. It gives you your parking placard, which is your parking placard is essentially your parking pass for that window. It will have a very large number, a very large letter on it, like M, and it will have a number. The letter is associated with the time of day, which A stands for the early AM. AM is the 10 window. M is the 12 window. P is the 2 o'clock window. And it will also have a very large number on that placard. The number is associated with the entry point into East Campus. Your car can only go into that entry point and out of that entry point, and it can only go during those 2 hours. And again, this is largely just for transportation and traffic flow for us to be able to get 1,750 students moved in one day and settled. So that's why we do it. You also have 2 other important pieces of information in there, which is directions to the Science Drive garage. which is where you'll leave your car. When you drop your student off and you park outside, or you go to the unloading zone outside your residence hall, there has to be someone with a car at all times, because if you even see in this picture, you can see that is not really a two-way street in front of All Spa Dorm. That is a one-way street. Traffic only goes that way. So when cars stop, cars block up traffic. And so in order to get people going, we have to keep those cars moving through. So that's where you'll leave your car. So make sure you check with your student to see if they got that email. It came out on Monday. It's specific to your residence hall assignment. And we hope that gives you a lot more information about the particulars of traffic flow that morning and the afternoon.
Another traffic related question, there's some about if a student is bringing a car to campus themselves and they have a pass, your parking location is in Smith Warehouse, which is just diagonal from East Campus. The good news is that means you can park there and leave your vehicle there. So if, for example, you have two cars, you're bringing that car and then your family has a car, I would recommend you not having much in your car, planning to go straight there and then walk over to campus, or meet your parent offline, your family off campus, and then get in the traffic line. So you have one vehicle going in, again, because only one vehicle can go there. But you can access the Smith Warehouse lot at any point throughout the day. It doesn't have the same restrictions because they don't have as many people going in and out. Although do be advised, there is traffic around East Campus all day long because we're getting all 1,700 of you onto campus. We have some transfer students on this webinar. If you're here, we also have an 8 o'clock webinar for you because part of these details are a little different for you moving into West Campus on the 23rd. So please don't forget to tune in tonight at 8 p.m. Registration is online. If you can't find it, email us and we'll make sure we get you in. I'm gonna do one more I saw. Someone said, if my roommate is moving in early, can I get into the room early? The polite answer is no. Students who are moving in early are not allowed to have guests. And so you need to come on your own day and check out your own key. So please come at your designated time. Thank you.
There's someone asking earlier, I think they were in reference because I was talking about the Science Drive Garage. Is the Science Drive Garage walkable to East Campus? No, there will be it's walkable. If you're on the cross-country team, it might be walkable. It is a healthy distance away, and there will be transportation that is constantly looping you directly from Science Drive Garage back to East Campus so that you can get back to your student's room when you drop that car off. There will also be a loop that is running on the Science Drive Garage loops that allows you to stop at West too. So you can just get dropped off on West Campus if you need to go to the university store, if you need to go straight to immunizations. Know that on West Campus, there's a few really important things. Again, immunizations are there. Your Duke mailbox key and your packages will all be delivered to West Campus as well. And so those are at Campus Mail, which is in the lower level of the Bryan Center that Shami said earlier. And so that's important for you to know. And then there's also just opportunities for you to go to West Campus. That's where the family farewell is going to be. And that's really, West Campus is the larger of the two campuses. And so there's things to see there. There's dining options available as well. So.
I saw a question. I know that many of our students are flying in from all over across the country, across the world. And there's a question, what if my flight is delayed and I miss coming in? If you're gonna be late, like arriving the next day because of a misconnection, please email us at studentorientation@duke.edu. We will be able to make sure that you have what you need to get when you get here and get you connected to where your experiential orientation program is. So email us at studentorientation@duke.edu. There's another question about what do we do if we didn't receive the waiver? So the waivers went to student email addresses. So first check your Duke email address. That's where all university communication goes to. If you do not see the waiver or the assumption of risk form in there, you might search for both of those phrases. Please email us again at studentorientation@duke.edu and we will do our best to get you connected with that.
And just for another thing to look for, I know that sometimes it might look like an advertisement, but it came through Adobe Sign, which is the partner that we use to distribute those waivers. So if you saw an email come from Adobe, look, it's not a advertisement from Adobe. It is perhaps the waiver or the assumption of risk that came into your inbox. Let's see. We're going through as many of these as we can.
There's some question, I think, about the hotel style dorms. So your Duke card is what will get you access into those buildings. So again, make sure that you've submitted your Duke card photo and pick up your Duke card in Brody Gym. You can also get it onto your phone. Sorry, you can have your Duke card on your phone as well. So that gives you easy access when you're in and out of your building.
I'm gonna actually pull up an old slide just to show you a map of the vendors that are on campus. This is East Campus, folks. And just to give you, again, an understanding of where things are. Brody Gym is located, I can't tell if you can see my cursor or not. Can you see my cursor, or is it just, okay, good. Brody Gym is located at number 1. That is, again, the central location where you'll check in the morning. That opens again at 8 a.m. We've told folks, and we've said this before, if you have the 2 o'clock window, the student is more than welcome to go into East Campus to run to these different stations. You can walk to them as well and visit them to make sure that you have all those materials before you go into your move-in window. 2 is the East Campus bus stop. This is where you'll want to go for all of your buses. Number 3 is the classroom building, which is where you'll pick up your pre-ordered linens. If you order linens through the Duke stores, they will be available in the classroom building. We'll have the information tent available in the middle of East Campus. Which will be there at the information tent is a hospitality area, which is snacks and waters. There will also be a few vendors that are there right now. That vendor list does change in between now and then, so we may add a few more. But for right now, there will be a laundry service that's available there. So if you're interested in the laundry service, you can sign up with them. The Container Store will be there available, answering questions about offers from the Container Store. Duke Votes will be there. So if you wanted to update your voter registration, you can, and there may be a few more. In the Crowell building, which is over here on the far east side of campus, you have the bank vendors. If you don't have a bank that you like to use, then we have a few vendors that will be available there. Bank of America will be on hand. The Duke Federal Credit Union will be on hand. And then finally, number 6 is the East Campus Dining. This is the Marketplace, which is the dining hall for all first-year students. They're going to be selling lunch and they're going to be selling breakfast throughout the day. So stop by there. There's also a cafe below that's a coffee shop and also quick little grab and go things. So you can certainly grab that as well. Marketplace is open from 8 a.m. until 2 p.m. And the Trinity Cafe is open from 8 a.m. until 5 p.m. Again, as we said before, there are also West Campus dining options as well. So if you are on West Campus grabbing your student mailbox key or grabbing something from the university store, you can check out the Broadhead Center for all different types of dining options. I see here one of the questions about if we arrive, are things available to be picked up beforehand? Like if people are in town on Friday, can you pick them up beforehand? It's unlikely that you'll be able to pick up your laptop beforehand because Duke Stores is going to be distributing all of those laptops to Brody Gym, and you're not going to be allowed access into Brody Gym on Friday. It won't be open. Picking up your mailbox key, on the other hand, the campus mail, Duke Campus Mail will be open the day before. And so if you were to arrive in Durham and you wanted to go over there and check in to get your mailbox key, you also should be able to pick up your any packages that arrived as well the day before so that you would be ready to go first thing for your move-in window. You can pick that up beginning on Friday. Let's see. What else, Grace?
So many questions in here, it's even hard to sort. It looks like we have received about 300 questions in the course of this webinar. A few extra ones. Some people asking, I can't even remember who we've answered these, how early can they start lining up off campus? I'll be honest, I've never been in that line. I know that some people arrive early, but you don't need to. Again, it goes back to that sort of, right? If you're first in line, you're going to be sitting in line for a while to get on campus. If you aim towards more, the second half of the move-in window, you may not be in a long line off campus to get onto campus. There will be police from both Durham and Duke to help support traffic for the day. So those lines do start before each of the move-in windows, and there's amazing support off campus to help folks figure out which line they get in where around East Campus. Again, don't forget to consult your move-in map that is part of the parking pass to really help you locate which entrance that you're going to need to be in and where the line forms around East Campus. Ben, what time do buses start from Science Drive in the morning?
That's a great question. The Science Drive buses begin at 8 for that loop. The regular bus route from east to west begins at 6:30, which is earlier that morning. And so be mindful of that. Those buses are going to be looping all day long, but we are going to make sure that you get back and forth between there. So if you wanted to arrive, the Science Drive garage should open beforehand. There's nothing there that leads me to believe that it will be locked before 8 a.m. So, and Science Drive garage is within walking distance to West Campus. I think that's fair to say. It's a little bit of a longer walk, but it is still within walking distance to West Campus. So if you want to park at Science Drive, walk over to West, take a little tour of campus, grab a cup of coffee, enjoy a nice humid morning, and then make your way to East. You certainly are more than welcome to.
I forgot to answer in my question earlier if people know ahead of time that they're going to be late to check in, or their flight is delayed. If you arrive on the 20th, but you're just after 5 when Brody closes, you're going to go to your residence hall. Again, you'll have access to East Campus with a vehicle. You're going to go to your residence hall, and there should be information posted about how to contact the RA on call to help you check in for the evening, get your key, and make sure you get into your residence hall. Lots of questions also about, will students be busy on Sunday, on Monday through the week? I will emphasize again that students start their full orientation programs, which really are full days, starting on Sunday. The time they might start varies depending on the program. Your program director should be able to provide the information, but do expect that your student is going to be fully busy starting on Sunday. We know that families, this is a tender time, and it's a big deal to be dropping your loved one off at campus. And the reason we ask that you depart on Saturday is so that your student can really become absorbed in Duke, start to really form deep connections with their peers. We know that that is not a simple task, but we can't wait for your students to call you after experiential orientation and tell you about their exciting week, the connections that they've made, the things that they've learned about Duke. For students, there will be more time throughout the week to settle in. It'll look different depending on their program. Some programs are off campus. Your student would already know that for much of the week. And so they might settle in even more into the weekend. Some students will be sleeping in their rooms every night, and so they might be able to do some during the week. Yeah.
Yeah, a really piece of advice. I mean, so I'm a Duke alum. I graduated from Duke some time ago now. But the reality of it is when you move into your room and you get to know your roommate, that's really the good point at which you start living into that space. And so a little tip that I recommend to a lot of folks. I also worked in admissions at Duke for a number of years, and so I would often give this advice to parents who are moving their children in: is that live into the space for a little bit, take some time to get to know that space, and then go to Target, and then go to the mall to grab those things, and then take advantage of Container Store coupons or whatever else is available on campus, because you want to see how you live into that space. And I think that you'll find that a lot of things that you might have come with can easily be shed, and that you actually probably, your child may shed them without telling you. And that's just the way that it takes to live into space, and to live and share a room with a roommate for the first time, as we said.
I know there's also questions about micro fridges. If you ordered one through Duke, it'll be delivered to your room prior to arrival. So you'll be able to see it when the RA opens up your door for you to first drop your items.
And if you didn't order a micro fridge, they will not be on campus during move-in day, but they will open their order form. And if they have availability, they will deliver it after move-in day. But they're going to take right now the micro fridge website is down for these few days as they begin to sort all the orders that are coming in for East Campus and for West Campus. But you will be able, they will relaunch that website, my understanding, and they will be able to deliver it to you at a scheduled time in your dorm.
Lots of questions too about this recording. So yes, this is being recorded. We will post it on the New Student Programs YouTube page. We'll also link it on that parent and family orientation site so that families and students will be able to see it. So you can rewatch, hear those answers again, see the map again, all of that. So we'll have that posted in about 48 hours. Please give us about 48 hours so we can get it transcribed and make sure it's accessible online.
We have hit the 7 o'clock mark, and out of respect for your time, we're going to go ahead and wrap up this webinar. I'm going to invite my two colleagues, Shamice and Karina, to hop back on. And the question I had given them before was to offer one piece of advice to incoming students as you prepare to move in 10 days. What's one piece of parting advice that you might share? I shared mine earlier, the 3 things to make your life so much easier on move-in day and to just put that worry behind you is 1, submit your Duke Card photo by Monday. You can go to the Duke Card website to learn more about that process. 2 is to submit that waiver and that, or that assumption of risk. There are 2 different forms depending on which program you're in. Submit that in advance so you can just breeze right through Brody Gym. And then number 3 is make sure that your immunizations are up to date and submitted through your Duke Health portal. Grace, what would yours be?
Mine is quite detailed. And it is, if you can label all of your suitcases and boxes with your room number, that will help us in unloading your vehicle. It'll make it really clear and easy to the orientation leaders helping which room to put it in. So put your room number on any item that you can that's going to be unloaded from your vehicle when you roll up. Shamice, do you have one?
Yeah, I would just reiterate with the family farewell, really taking in the experience that you're going to have with your family and whoever is accompanying you on your move-in day, or even if you're doing this by yourself, making sure that you are really taking the time to really experience this joy and this new journey that you are experiencing. And so if you do have family joining you, making sure that you all take time to enjoy each other with the time for dinner prior to entering Cameron, because I can even remember my own orientation time and being able to have the opportunity to say my farewells to my family and what those memories, how we still talk about it to this day. So really taking that time to enjoy the family farewell and just enjoying this experience in general. Karina?
And then my advice is that some of you might come with boxes with things that might produce a lot of trash. And we want to be able to keep the hallways in the dorms as clear as much as possible. And so outside of each residence hall, there will be zones in the grassy area and some netting put up and some signage for recycling. And there's also in each residence hall a trash room. So please be talking with the RAs in the space and any of the leaders in the, any of the student leaders, orientation leaders that are helping you move in, and help us as much as possible keep the areas as clean and welcoming as we can be as you're unloading and making your space your own.
Awesome. Well, I want to thank everyone again. Thanks to my colleagues, Grace and Karina and Shamice for being on here. Thanks to Brandon, our Dean of East Campus, for being on here as well to help answer some of the questions, particularly around the residence halls. And thanks to you all for being with us. We know that this is a very exciting time for you. We wish you nothing but the best in these next 10 days as you prepare to make that transition to Duke. And we will see you on Saturday, August 20th, bright and early. Thanks so much. Have a great night. We'll see you soon.